Hello, everybody. As of now, hopefully you have heard the news that we are allowed to reopen public services as of September 13th. I am so excited. I am so happy. These past 5 months have been long. And I want to thank you for your grace and for your patience and for your understanding. We are reopening as of September 13th, and we are reopening everything. We are reopening our Sunday morning 8 o'clock service, Sunday morning 10 o'clock service, and Wednesday morning 9:30 service. Now, just before I get into information that I need to give you, let me just address those of you who might not be coming to on-site services here on Sundays or on the Wednesday or the public services. Maybe you have a health issue that means that you can't come to a public service. Maybe you're just not comfortable coming to a public service. Our online ministry will continue. And so every Sunday morning, there will be a worship service uploaded on our YouTube channel. And so if you can't come to public service here, our on-site services, we would encourage you to connect with the online services at Holy Cross through our YouTube channel. The other thing that we're going to make available once we begin to reopen are home communions. Now, home communion will look differently than it has in the past. In order to avoid myself and Reverend Carmen and Reverend Larry running in and out of multiple people's houses, you will be invited to book a time to come to church and have a time of communion with yourself or with your family here at the church privately. And there will be some protocols regarding that, and we can walk you through it at that point. But know that, taking communion isn't cut off from you, and there is going to be some provisions to allow that to happen. And all you need to do is just to call me or email me and ask about that, and we will set that up. So, the road to reopening, as I like to call it, there's a whole lot of stuff that we have to consider. And there were a whole lot of decisions that we had to make about how this is going to work. And there's a lot of things that we just need to let you know about. And so in this video alone, there's going to be multiple ones. In this video, I want to talk to you about declaring your intention to come to church, and then actually what you need to consider in coming to church. So firstly, declaring your intention. The protocols that we need to abide by are partly physical distancing. We need to remain 6 feet apart at all times. And that means that there's going to be a reduced seating capacity here at church. We're only using every other pew. So we are reduced in the amount of people that we can have. And of course, the other thing that we need to be able to do is we need to keep a record for 2 weeks of everybody who comes to a service. And that is for contact tracing or information purposes and things like that. So the best way to manage both those things is to have you RSVP your intent to be at church at a particular service. So you need to let us know that you intend to come to church. And the way that you do that is twofold. One is you can call us at the office. Talk to myself, you can talk to Carmen, or talk to Gloria. One of us three at the office you can talk to. Or, and probably perhaps a little easier if you are on email, is to email a dedicated address. And that is rsvp@holycrosscalgary.org. rsvp@holycrosscalgary.org. Those are the two ways that you can RSVP your intent to be at church. I was joking with somebody the other day that if they see me in a grocery store and just say, "Oh, well, I'll see you on Sunday," that doesn't count. You need to call us in the office or you need to send an email. Now, whether you call or whether you send an email, you need to provide 3 pieces of information. One, your name, because we need to have a record of that. So you need to give us your name. You need to let us know how many people are coming. So if you're a household of 5, you can't just say, oh, well, I'm coming. You need to let us know that your entire family, so who's coming within your household, how many people are coming, and of course, what service you wish to attend to, whether that's going to be the 8 o'clock service or whether that's going to be the 10 o'clock service. Please do not just assume that we would automatically know what service you want to come to. You need to let us know. So those are the 3 information that you need to provide for us. We will then send you a checklist, the standard COVID symptom checklist, and you're probably aware of that. You've gone to get your hair cut or you've gone to the doctor's office, they've probably asked you, have you had a fever in 10 days? Do you have a cough or a stuffy nose? We'll send you that to look over and just to make a self-assessment whether you don't have any of those things. And so that is how you RSVP. Now, just so you know, within our reduced seating capacity here, every household receives their own pew. And there's no difference between a household of 2 and a household of 5, right? So any household that says, I'm coming to church or I'd like to come to church, will receive a pew just by themselves. There's nobody sitting directly behind them, and there's nobody sitting directly in front of them. So distance will be maintained. Now, I do know that I've heard from people who would be considered a household of 1, right? They come to church by themselves. And some have declared, well, you know what? I don't want to take up an entire pew just by myself. I will leave that for other families. And that's gracious, and that is selfless, and that is loving. But we want everybody to know that you are as encouraged and invited to come to church, no matter you're a household of 1 or whether you're a household of 5. But to address this, what we have done is we have created 8 individual spots. So there are 2 pews at the front and 2 pews at the back. Because if you're a household of 1, and if you're coming just by yourself, then technically you can sit on one end of the pew, and another individual can sit on the other end of the pew. This is the benefit of having really long pews. And you still maintain that 6 feet distance. You still maintain distance, of course. And so we have created 8 spots around the church for individuals to be able to sit and have somebody else sit in the same pew but on the other end. But for households of more than 1, or if people are already a part of a cohort, you can obviously sit together. So that is how you go RSVPing, declaring your intent to be at church. Now, what about the time when the service comes? Sunday morning comes or Wednesday morning comes and you make your way up to the church. There are 3 things that you need to have with you. One is a mask. Technically, this is a public building. And so the health protocols are that people need to be masked at all times. So you need to be masked when you come into the building and actually all through the worship services. At another video, I'll talk about our communion and how we're going to be doing that. But when you come to church, you need to be wearing a mask. Hopefully you have your own, or you've picked up the disposable ones. We have some available here for emergency basis, or if somebody comes and they've just forgotten their mask. However, our stock of only about 300, that will go pretty quickly if people forget their masks and people don't bring their masks. And so when you're walking up to the front doors, think about 3 things. Mask. Do you have the mask? Do you have the liturgical book? So our protocols have said that we cannot have any books in the pews. So all of our books are taken out of the pews. And nor can we actually hand out books. Just like, you used to come and you would be given the BAS. We can't do that anymore. And printing up our services in kind of a multi-page booklet for every service, for every week, not only is that cost prohibitive, but I actually think that's also environmentally prohibitive as well. That's just a lot of ink and toner and paper and all that kind of stuff. And so you are going to be asked to bring your own liturgical book. So you need to have your own BAS or BCP. If you don't have one, then make arrangements to come by the church and sign one out. We have enough copies here. You can have one. You can take one home with you. So do that either prior to the service, or you can technically sign one out when you first come to your first service here. But beyond that, you need to be bringing your own liturgical book. Now, in order to make this as simple as possible, our 8 o'clock service will always be BCP. Our Wednesday 9:30 service will always be BCP. That's standard. That's what we've been doing for years upon years. Our 10 o'clock service, which used to change each week, our 10 o'clock service will always be BAS. This is just one of the decisions that we had to make in order to make coming to church and coming to services here as available and as easy as possible for everybody. And so I understand if people loved coming to the 10 o'clock service and doing the BCP service. There might be people who just really wish that you could do a BAS service at 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, this is just how the rotation has to be. 8 o'clock, you bring a BCP. 10 o'clock, you bring a BAS. 9:30 on Wednesday, you bring a BCP. The other thing that you should have with you is hand sanitizer. Now, we will have some stations of hand sanitizer here, but it's just a good practice to have your own. We're always having to sanitize our hands. You're having to sanitize your hand when you come into the building, when you leave the building. It's just good practice to have your own in a little bottle. And so when you're walking up that pathway to the front doors, just run through that little bit of a checklist. Do I have my mask? And you should be wearing your mask, so it should be easy to figure out. Do I have my mask? Do I have my liturgical book? Do I have my sanitizer? And those are the three things that you need. The sidesmen will then meet you and greet you warmly at the start of the church. They will point you to the same kind of checklist that we would have sent you about the symptoms of illness and COVID and all that kind of stuff. And we will ask you to affirm that you don't have any of those symptoms, just like you do when you're getting your hair cut and all that kind of stuff. We'll ask you to do that, and then they will lead you in to the pew where you will be sitting. So in another video, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the different things you're going to see around the church. And then we'll do another video about communion and what the service itself will look like. If you have any questions or if you have concerns, then please don't hesitate to call me at the office, send me an email. Like I said, it's a complex thing, and we're happy to be reopening. We're excited, but there's a lot of kind of balls that we just need to be juggling. And so if there's anything that you're unclear of, please just contact us, because we want everybody to have as much information as you need so that you can feel as comfortable as you can in coming to services beginning on September 13th. God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you in church.